Snaking its way through the countryside of Southern Virginia, this beautiful 3.2-mile strip of asphalt has been around since 1957. But now, for the second time in 3 years, the VIRginia International Raceway is home to the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Welcome back to VIRginia International Raceway for the 59th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs, our broadcast presented to you by our friends at Mazda. We are ready for H Production. I'm John Phippen, your play-by-play announcer, joined in the booth here by Larry Lefty McLeod, who will give us all the color commentary. We had the pleasure of announcing the Spec Miata race a little bit earlier and another production battle, but these production classes are some of my favorites.
Yeah, this is great. It's a whole lot of close battles among very, very different cars. Some of them have been around for generations, it seems. So it'll be a lot of fun to watch these guys battle it out. Rear drives, front drives, we got it all.
Let's take a quick look at this 3.7-mile, 17-turn circuit that each of these drivers will be taking 15 laps or 35 minutes. A little shorter today because we had to make up room for an extra race added in the morning, but take us around the lap, Larry.
Sure. We're going to expect probably 3 and 4 wide down into turn 1. Very wide part of the track there, but they better figure it out by the time they come off of turn 2 and head to NASCAR Bend. You can get away with 2. A third wide gets a little busy, and then they get to left hook there at 4A, and it's pretty much single file. Come around that, we get to the famous snake as it goes left to right, up and down, finally into a short straight, and then the climbing S's, 7, 8, and 9, up the hill, super fast section, and then they get to throw it around the South Bend, turn 10, down a short hill, up a short hill, and then into the famous Oak Tree Bend without the famous oak tree anymore. They come off of that down Madison Avenue, down the super long back straight, and these underpowered cars. This could be a lot of drafting down there, but that'll take them to the roller coaster. They'll go plummeting down the coaster and hopefully hang on through the hog pen there at turn 17 and come down the front straight. But we are going to see so much side-by-side around this place in these little cars.
Exactly right. And this H production class, years ago used to be nothing but little British sports cars, basically. But there's some more, quote, contemporary, unquote, 1980s, 1970s vintage Volkswagen Golfs, Honda CRXs thrown in the mix. But there's still the Austin Healey Sprites, the Triumph Spitfires. You see a lot of the old generation cars. But Hayward Wagner is down on the false grid. The car is already coming out for their parade lap, Hayward.
Hey guys, H-Prod is a favorite of all of ours. These are high-strung, well-built little race cars. The story in H-Prod seems to be Steve Sargis year after year. When I talk to the guys in the class, what they tell me is that Steve has more engineering, more commitment, more investment, more time in his car than anybody else, maybe several of them combined. And so when he's on, when that car's right, he's very, very hard to catch. Where Steve sometimes stumbles, though, is in the reliability. And you're going to see a lot of cars in this race, a lot of the tin top cars that used to be improved touring SCCA race cars. Those guys that are driving the improved touring cars, a lot of them are from this area and have been involved in regional racing with SCCA here at VIR for years and years, including some enduros. So when you get guys like Will Perry, you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of laps here at VIR.
Thanks, Hayward. You're absolutely right. We used to have a joke that these prod cars, with the race being 15 laps, the engines were 16-lap hand grenades.
Yes.
Really highly stressed. Really highly stressed. So let's run the starting grid for you as Kendall Jones will start alone in row 12 in the number 80 out of Detroit in his MG Midget. In row 11, the 69 of John Fine out of the Atlanta region in a Honda Civic SI. Alongside is the 42 of Angus Chrome out of the Silver Lakes region in a Volkswagen Golf. Row 10 has the 75 of Jack Schultz from the Ozark Mountain region in an MG Midget. And a rookie in the race, making his first runoff start, the number 128 of Ryan McBain out of the Washington, D.C. region in a Honda CRX. In row 9, car number 90 is Tom Boring out of the D.C. region in a Triumph Spitfire. Next to him, the number 53 of Edward Weary out of the South Jersey region in a Honda Fit. Moving to row 8, car 8, Matthew Benizak out of the New York region in a Honda Civic SI, and another rookie, the 79 of David Bowles out of Central Florida in a Volkswagen Golf. Row 7, the 63 of Brian Downey from Washington, D.C. in a Nissan PL510, and the number 89 of Greg Amy out of the New England region in a Toyota Mr. 2. Row 6, the 02 of Leanna Wright out of the Tennessee region in a Mini Cooper. Then we've got the the number 5 of Charles Guest, who is a rookie out of the North Carolina region in a 57 Austin Healey Sprite. I think that's the oldest car in the field. In row 5, car number 07, Andrew Wright out of the Tennessee region in a Triumph Spitfire. Then comes the number 7 of William Traynor out of the Chicago region in a Volkswagen Scirocco. Row 4 has the 15 of Greg Galper out of the Milwaukee region in a Civic Si. And one of Sports Cars picks to finish on the box, car number 10, Eric Vickerman out of the Detroit region in an Austin Healey Sprite. In row 3, car number 3, Chris Albin out of the Silver Lakes region in a Volkswagen Golf, alongside the 11 of Eric Benezak out of the New York region in a Honda Civic Si. Now for the front 2 rows, the 2019 champion right here at VIR, number 60, Vesa Silegren out of the Chattanooga region in a Honda CRX. Next to him, another pick by Sports Car, the 36 of Will Perry out of the same region for a Honda CRX SI. The front row, car 20, Chris Schaafsma out of the Chicago region in a Volkswagen Golf. And the man we were talking about, also picked by Sports Car to be on the box, the number 18 of the veteran Steve Sargis out of the Blackhawk Valley region, a 9-time and defending champion. This is his 37th runoff start.
And he will definitely be one to contend with. As Hayward said, he has been known to have some reliability issues, but when the car is running, it is always fast.
Yep.
And he'll be one. He had a great start to the race in 19. Reliability let him down. Ultimately, Vesa Silegren was able to get that win. Vesa in an all-new chassis this year for an incident in Indy last year, still working to develop that chassis. Chris Schaafsma, though, in that Volkswagen, was the guy who was quickest in first qualifying. And if it wasn't for Sargis' fast lap in the second qualifying, Schaafsma might have had that pole, but he's going to be quick. The challenge for Schaafsma, as well as the Hondas, the other ones in this field, getting heat in the rear tires on this opening lap, because front drive cars don't like to lean over so much when there's no back tire run. They don't have to do much back there, but they at least need to keep the car pointing in the right direction. So watch those couple of front drivers there behind your pole sitter Sargis, the 9-time gold medal winner.
Got a shot there of Kendall Jones in that British Racing Green number 80 MG Midget, bringing up the rear as they come around the corner. The Spitfire of Steve Sargis and the Volkswagen Golf of Chris Schaafsma as they work their way through the hog pen turn and begin to make their way toward the starting line. Sargis still weaving back and forth, getting a little temperature into those tires. Vesa Silegren in the Honda CRX there in the 4th spot. Go ahead.
Yeah, watch for Eric Vickerman, though. He's in the old Ron Bartel car, kind of hiding in the group back there. Has had carburation issues all week long, but can be quick if you can get that sorted out.
And they're underway, and it looks like a pretty good jump for Chris Schaafsma as he's got some torque in that Volkswagen, but Sargis is staying right there with him and then ducking down to the inside. Not sure who that is, but we'll check it out. As they come up to turn number 1, Sargis is going to lead away with Schaafsma right there in behind him. That's the 36 of Will Perry slotting into that 3rd spot.
Rick Benezek trying to get his nose in there in that Honda Civic. And then Vesa Silegren also kind of in that group there. He's getting shuffled back just a little bit, though, as looks like Vickerman's on his outside. Those are the two that came together at Indy last year. Vickerman probably being a little bit more patient this time around.
Perry and Schaafsma go side by side through NASCAR, but then finally go down single file. Perry getting the better, or Schaafsma getting the better of it. Perry drops back into the 3rd spot. There's the 10 of Eric Vickerman in that Austin Healey Sprite.
That's the old Ron Bartel car. Ron Bartel won this class a couple of times in that car. Eric's been quick in it at times, but has also had some bad luck. So I think I happened to talk to him before the race, talked to his wife, and said, patience, patience, patience. As I think all of these drivers probably need to have. They're happy to see a dry track, at least probably most of them. But I think this makes for great racing because it's going to be equal conditions for everybody for the entire race. But look at the lead already by Sargis. Out to that quick jump. Again, he's got heat in all 4 tires where perhaps Schaafsma, Perry, Benezek, and that is the 128 going around. I think that's Ryan McBain.
Yeah, exactly. Out of the DC region, making his first runoff start.
Yeah, one of our rookies. Tough way to start your first runoffs, going off there.
We have 3 rookies in this 23-car field, but he'll be able to. Everybody's okay. We just had a little equipment crashed in the background.
Oh, look at the jump now as Vesa Silegren trying to get a run going up the hill to get that spot back. I want to say it might be Benezek that he's trying to get alongside. I think it is. That's Rick Benezek, I think, in the 11.
Yep. It is Benezek, and Silegren looks like he's got that job done. But Benezek trying to come back at him as they just go over the rise and head down the roller
similar
coaster.
cars there. You know, one's a CRX, one's a Civic, same generations. They're going to have very similar parts underneath. They're going to make speed in similar ways, as they say. But look at Vesa there. There's that patch of water. There's a whole lot of patch of something. That's Chris Perry grabbing dirt at the edge of the hog pen.
Yeah, Will Perry did the same thing we've seen so many cars do, drop a wheel off, and he is still chasing it. Finally got it under control, but he is going to fall all the way to the back after running in third.
He's gonna fall. It looks like right behind Chris. Look at this. These two come down the hill. There's that patch of water coming up, but you can see already Will Perry bounding down the hog pen, trying to just keep your foot in it. Right, front drive. Just keep your foot in it and go. Able to recover and only lose a couple of spots down there. It looks like he's in about 9th right now, just ahead of Greg.
Shame it's not a rabbit as it was bounding along, but nonetheless, Steve Sargis setting fast lap of the race on the first lap, but Chris Schaafsma is not letting him get away. Just as it looked like Sargis was going to be able to run away and hide here in the early stages, Schaafsma has kept him honest in that Volkswagen Golf.
Schaafsma did say he needed to get a little bit of heat in these tires before he could make a run. Same thing for Silegren. Was worried about the rear tires on the opening laps, worried to make sure everybody was patient. What we've seen so far is lots of patience by this front group. That's a good thing. But now that there's heat in the tires of those 3 front drives there, both the Volkswagen and the 2 Hondas, Schaafsma, Benezek, and then I believe that is the 11 of, Benezek, Silegren, Schaafsma, all 3 of those. Now VIRginia's got the little lightweight car. He would love to make up some ground here, but everybody's starting to tighten up now to keep up with Steve Sargis.
Keep an eye on VIRginia in that Austin Healey Sprite. He is all over the back of Eric VIRginia, so he might have a change. In fact, he's already made that pass over the 11 car of Benezek, excuse me. So that is Eric VIRginia moving up a spot in that Austin Healey Sprite.
See how long that lasts, though. He does not have the legs in that car. Now, he doesn't punch a big hole in the air either for the car behind him. So we'll see if he's able to do anything. Oh, that is not a good sign. That is way faster passing him than I think he was hoping for.
And he gave him a point as well. In fact, he's got an arm out the window. I don't know if that means he's got a problem.
That worries me a little bit if perhaps the carburetors aren't quite working. He doesn't have the top speed. As he did give him a point, we'll see if VIRginia's able to keep going. He also looked like he'd done a bit of a mirror adjustment there going down the straight. Seems to be okay here going down roller coaster, but keep your eye on that little Austin to see if he's got anything in him or to see.
That car looks so tiny compared to the tin tops on either side of it, but I think he's okay, back up to speed, but for whatever reason, he gave a point. Maybe he realized he just didn't have the top end, and if he was going to send somebody overtaking him, he got to choose which side he's going to send him.
Still adjusting that mirror out there going down the front straight.
Behind him is the 7 car of William Traynor, then Greg Galper right behind him in the Civic SI, and Chris Albin in the number 3 Volkswagen Golf.
Yeah, Chris Albin, of course, one of the members of the board of directors for a very long time out of the Southern Illinois region. Great guy. He's been out here all week. He's a lot of fun to chat with. Also had a chance to talk to Bill Traynor as VIRginia now trying to get that spot back from Benezek.
And he gets it done as they come into the left hook now into turn 5 and on their way into the snake. This is the area of the track where VIRginia definitely should have the advantage, because that car is small and nimble and lightweight, but where he gives it away is on the straightaways because he just doesn't have the grunt.
And we'll see if he's able to hold him through this here little short straight. He looks like he is, and you just look how small that car is compared to the giant, mid-80s Honda Civic. Just amazing difference in cars. These 3 cars, I'm starting to say there is Bill Traynor. Talked to him just before the race. He is just happy to be here, but he's also happy with the car. One of those who says the car is just handling great. He's been up on the podium before with more powerful cars under him. He says this engine not as strong, but just so happy the way it's handling it. You can see it just looks comfortable in that Scirocco.
The only not the only Scirocco in the field, but certainly one of them, and it's got a very different body style than the Volkswagen Golfs. And of course, the Honda in the Volkswagen sandwich, right, the meat in the sandwich, if you will, right in between. As Greg Galper hanging on to that 7th spot as he stands right now. But Chris Albin getting a good run in the yellow Golf, the number 3 car, as they make their way up to the rise, right at the top portion of Madison Avenue straightaway. Scirocco with that very Terminator-looking front end on it as they come up to the dip at the roller coaster.
Chris Albin, one of the veterans in this field, but always a part of every H-Prod field. That is one big family here in this class. One of the reasons I make sure I get a chance. Oh, that's a huge bounce there.
Yeah, for sure.
For Traynor coming down, like it just looked uncomfortable, like something may have happened, and he's slow to the right, but took a big hop as the car turned left.
What if he broke something in the suspension, although he seems to be at speed, but now side by side, Albin and Traynor are Galper, excuse me. Albin and Galper side by side. And in fact, Albin getting that job done as he gets around Galper to move up into that 6th spot.
Yeah, we'll keep our eye on Bill Trainer to see if that car takes any other awkward steps, but that definitely did not look comfortable. He was talking about how comfortable the car was. It may have just turned the other way, but these guys better not, take their time around here, because there is a very hangry Will Perry behind them who's already gone off once at Hog Pen. Probably not happy with himself. He just turned the lap, let's see, about 2 seconds faster than this group in front of him. So you're going to see a little red CRX at the back of this threesome very soon.
Albin piling on the pressure as he maybe feels a little blood in the water as Trainer might be injured. I saw Trainer with a bit of a lockup there at left hook.
I wonder if he's got a brake issue.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, it could be something up with one of the rear brakes there, kind of doing an early lockup. That would cause a bit of an issue coming down the hill.
And look at the lead that Vickerman has gotten over Benazek as Benazek was in front of him as they went into the roller coaster on the last lap. And Vickerman really able to stretch it out this time in the run up the climbing S's.
Yeah, Will Perry definitely has the speed going again. Look at him right there on the back of Gopper. Let's see if Perry's going to make the move down the inside into braking, going into Oak Tree.
Gets it woed down, so good for him.
If he can get a bit of a run here, it might be too far back to catch a bit of a draft off the Volkswagen. He might be giving a draft now to Gopper. Well, speaking of that draft, qualifying, I mentioned how fast Chris Schaafsma was on the first day. Steve Sargis was not quite as fast on the first day. They go out for the second day, of course, in order of day 1 qualifying, and Sargis stuck to the back of that Volkswagen for the entire first lap of the day 2 qualifying. And Schaafsma was kind of kicking himself for giving such a good lap to a very fast driver like Steve Sargis. So, he keeps saying one of these days so he'll get that thing on pole. But this week was not his week. But he's certainly making a race out of this as he's keeping pace now, even a couple of tenths ahead of Steve Sargis. So while we watch Will Perry, the Sargis and Schaafsma battle continues to wage on up front.
Yeah, and Perry now has his sights set on that battle just in front of him as Bill Trainer and Chris Albin doing battle. Trainer in the Scirocco, Albin in the yellow Golf.
Sure, underneath very similar cars, though.
Oh, exactly. The Scirocco's probably a little heavier, I would think.
He's got that little bit lower roof line. Maybe in these kind of trap speeds might not be a bad thing to have.
Yeah, exactly right. But looks like Vickerman finally has got the Sprite up on song as he is pulling away now from Benazek.
Yeah, Vickerman's last lap of 2:18.0, where the Benazek Trainer Albin Ganger and the 2:19s to 2:21.
And there goes Benazek off.
Oh, ouch. That's
right
all
at
the
NASCAR,
way.
yeah. He went all the way off. That's where Boris Said went off in an earlier race. And he grazed the guardrail, but I think he's going to be able to get away. You can see damage to the right front corner.
That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think he's
Benazek.
maybe bent the suspension on that.
Glad to see he's able to get that car moving again, but here's that replay. Yeah, just as you're starting to turn in there for NASCAR, just drops a wheel ever so small and put the wet grass, and you're just gone in this place. He's got the right front fender hanging off. He might just be limping this thing back. He's heading back to track. We'll see where he actually ends up.
I think when he gets on track, he'll be able to determine whether or not the suspension is damaged. But he has fallen all the way back. There's the 80 car just now coming up. That's Kendall Jones back in 16th position.
Kendall trying to find his way around him as we get another shot here of Will Perry working his way past now both Albin and Trainer.
Yep. So Benazek would have been his next victim. Really, Vickerman is the one that he'll be targeting up ahead. You can see Vickerman just going out of the frame at the top of the shot as Albin and Trainer continue their side-by-side battle.
Yeah, Vickerman now all by himself, which is probably where he's happiest because he doesn't have to worry about the difference in speeds between straightaways and corners. So he's right now sitting in that 4th spot as it shows there, a couple seconds ahead of the Chris Albin and Will Perry and all that battle behind him. And then out in front of him, though, Sargis is starting to feel some pressure, I think, from Schaafsma and Silegren.
Yeah, in fact, it was over 2 seconds a couple laps ago. Sargis is leading. It's now down to about a 1/10 of a second.
It may be less than that based on what I'm seeing. Yeah, it's a 1/10 of a second now as they're going into turn 1 between Sargis and Schaafsma. I'm sure we'll get to that one in a second as Vickerman now comes across and doing pretty good laps.
2:18
2:18
and some change. That's his fastest lap of the race so far.
And he just moved to 3rd, so it appears something happened to Vesa Silegren as he's dropping down the order unless there's a transponder issue, but Silegren may be dropping out. We'll see if that's just a timing thing. Nope, he's back in. All right.
Yeah, he's still showing on our alternate timing screen here, so I think he's there again. Maybe a
transponder issue.
Yeah, if it doesn't trip the lights, the automatic scoring goes
And there
down.
you go, Schaafsma now in the lead of Sargis.
Absolutely. We missed the pass, but we saw it coming as Sargis apparently slowing just a bit. His last lap, a 2:17.091. His best lap, a 2:16.5. So he's only about half a second off his fastest lap. So I don't think anything happened to Sargis. I think Schaafsma just got faster.
Yeah, and for Sargis now, the only good thing for him is he's right on that bumper. Look how close he is. This is what they were doing in qualifying on day 2, where Sargis was getting a beautiful draft from that giant Volkswagen. And here's that replay. It looks like it's going into 1. Sargis on the outside, Schaafsma on the inside. Schaafsma just outbrakes him, gives him nowhere to turn in. Beautiful positioning.
Sargis took a little feint to the inside there, hoping to get Schaafsma to blink a bit, and that just did not happen.
Became the widest car in the entire grid here as Schaafsma throwing that Volkswagen in front of the Spitfire, making it stick.
All but Trainer and Galper still duking it out for 6th, 7th, and 8th. But clearly Steve Sargis is going to use Schaafsma's car as a air brake, I think, just to break the wind, if you will. That big Volkswagen is going to punch a pretty good size hole in the air. And sorry, I didn't mean to say what I just said, but you get the idea. Anyway, Sargis is going to try to take advantage of that at the end of the straightaway. But man, Schaafsma's car has got some legs.
He does.
When it gets rolling, it is able to pull away.
He's in an absolute groove right now. But yeah, the trap speed just up around 120 miles an hour, and very, very quick right now. Even able to pull on those straightaways. But this is where Sargis comes into his own in the twisty bits. This is a great battle. It's going to keep going on till the end.
Yeah, so very much similar to what we saw earlier on with Eric Vickerman. As we're at the half distance point, as we go side-by-side racing into turn number 4. Yeah, let's wait till we get this battle settled before we go off to our break.
Kind of gave him the phantom move down the inside. Schaafsma didn't bite, stuck on his line, was able to hold the position. Sargis just poking around back there, and he knows he's got the advantage in this part, but he also knows that he needs all the draft he can get on this part as they come out of the snake, heading down this short stretch just past our TV compound, and see if he decides to stick his nose up in here going through the climbing S's. We saw it earlier in other races this weekend. Sargis going to hang back and calculate.
Not
Looks like we
quite
have a
as
little bit of
quick.
smoke coming out of the back of Sargis.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing, so we'll just have to keep an eye on that.
LBCs do that from time to time.
Indeed they do. And yeah, Sargis getting a good run through the final turn there at South Bend.
He's pushing Schaafsma down the inside of a bad line,
Oh,
and then he's
over
going to
and
up and under.
There you go.
But he's got no run down the outside. We know Schaafsma's got the legs for the straightaway. So while they swapped here, Schaafsma is probably going to have a chance to get it back.
Schaafsma going to stay right on his tail and then pop out where the superior top end speed of that Golf is going to play into his hands. But Sargis is hanging right with him. They're still side by side as they crest the hill.
And now the legs of the Volkswagen take over.
Yep.
He's got the top end. It's a bigger car, but he's got the top end. But Sargis is going to just stay there and just make him think about it. He doesn't have any overlap. He can't really get underneath unless he thinks he can outbrake him, which he does.
Later on the brakes, as Sargis retakes that spot. Again, this may be a little bit of a dry run of what we might see at the end of the race here, as Sargis realizing that he's going to have to battle with this guy for the rest of the race if they can keep the tires under it. So it's an idea about where does he want to be on the last lap. Does he want to be leading into Oak Tree, or does he want to be in second spot?
This run right now is interesting because this is where the legs come into the Volkswagen. Can he beat it to the stand just to try, just as a test? Maybe not, so he'll have to be closer if they come down to the final lap and he's trailing. He's going to have to get a better run than that if you're Chris Schaafsma. But again, now look at him pushing Sargis to the inside, trying to get a better run to come off at 2. This is just where Sargis' car comes into his own, though.
Yep, this is going to continue, and let's take a quick break because we do want to thank all of our partners that make this broadcast possible. We'll be right back with the second half of this wonderful race for H Production.
Focus, guys. We're in a race to the finish, okay?
Here's where the rubber meets the road.
Have these initiatives moved the needle, like, at all?
Well, let's shift gears a minute.
We're really kind of at the apex here.
We need to put the pedal to the metal. We need to nail those hairpin turns, cross that finish line, and take that checkered flag. Woo!
Hit the track with the world's largest motorsports calendar, track day insurance, and more. Haggerty. Let's drive together.
Introducing the first ever Mazda CX-50.
Why race? Because it's in our blood. A love of driving that pushes us as hard on the road as it does on the track. It's why we reinvented the Roadster and put a piece of it into every car we make. It's why we refine, rethink, and refine again. And it's why we'll always engineer to your heart's BPM, not simply an engine's RPM. Why race? Why indeed?
And we're picked up right where we left off as we've got a great battle for the lead here in H production. Welcome back to Virginia International Raceway for the 59th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. As you can see, this battle continuing side by side into the...
wow!
Schaafsma goes off.
That is not how the uphill climbing S's are supposed to go. He just straight lined them, but able to recover, and the battle continues. Unbelievable between these two. At front drive, if it goes off, just keep your foot in it, right? Just keep on going.
Absolutely. It's a case of two cars with different strengths at different parts of the racetrack. Schaafsma's car definitely with a little more horsepower, a little more top-end speed.
Yeah.
Steve Sargis in that Triumph Spitfire.
It shows that Sargis wasn't going to back off. It's going to force him into an issue, but also shows that Schaafsma's never going to back down. Even if he has to go straight line at 90 miles an hour through the S's.
He's not lifting.
Stuff. No.
He is not going to lift, even if he puts all four off. So Schaafsma with just a little bit of an advantage here. Sargis follows him through all the way out to the edge of the track right there at the exit of Oak Tree Bend. Sargis wiping off his visor. Just getting a little dust, a little road rash on his visor.
You know, not a bad idea there for Schaafsma to kind of get the tires out right at the edge where the dirt's coming off of the edges and onto the track, and kicks them up there on the open-topped car, right onto the visor there of Sargis to make him have to wipe that clean. Little strategies like that come into play when you've got a battle like this going on.
Yeah, exactly right. As we said, Steve Sargis, not his first rodeo. He's seen it all, basically, and he's a great tactician. I mean, you have to be to win as many championships as he has. 9 of them. This would be number 10 if he's able to make this one happen. And he usually runs multiple classes.
He had 20 podiums coming into this week for Sargis. That's as difficult a number as you can imagine. How difficult it is to get one in a career to come out here 20 times to stand up on the podium.
Well, look at his strike rate. He's been in 37 runoffs. He's had 37 starts, and he's been on the box.
There he goes down the inside. This time able to push Schaafsma to the outside and take the good break. We saw Schaafsma do that to Sargis a couple laps ago. Sargis now gets it back, and now this is where he's got the advantage. But look at this. He's going to try for Schaafsma. He's going to short line it into NASCAR, forcing Sargis to the outside. So close. Little puff of brake lock up there on the inside rear for Schaafsma.
Yeah, he didn't want to make contact with Sargis, so he tapped the brakes there just a bit. But this battle's going to go right down to the wire, I have a feeling. We're working race lap number 10 of the scheduled 15. And as we look at the time, we've got about 13 minutes left, so I think we'll probably get all 15 laps in, assuming we can keep it green, touch wood.
Yeah, watch and see if Schaafsma does anything to Sargis going through the climbing S's as they had done shoe on the other foot a little while ago. Maybe possible. This is Bill Traynor now in the battle with the 15 and Greg Gopper.
That's for 6th place. And just up ahead in that yellow Volkswagen Golf is Chris Albin, currently holding down the 5th spot. He was at the tail end of this group in the early going, but has been able to get around both of them and is drawn away out.
Yeah, Gopper, the H-Prod champ back in 2011 at Road America, running in that Civic there. And for Bill Traynor, he's got a couple of podiums, a couple of second-place finishes in that Scirocco. So these guys have been around this for a long, long time, probably had battles before. And now they've got Chris Albin kind of pulling away from them. Chris wants that top 5, so for a Traynor and Gopper, they better work on catching the veteran Albin.
Yeah, something must have gone wrong with Eric Vickerman because he has dropped all the way back to 8th position. As we look at his lap times, his last lap was about a second off his quickest. So I don't know whether, you said he was having some carburation issues where that car's not quite on song. But Vickerman was right up in the thick of the battle for the podium spots, but he's kind of fallen behind everybody. He's back in 8th position. About 6 seconds behind Greg Galper.
And he may just be having moments of interrupted things because he actually then Vickerman turned as fast as first sector, so maybe he hit it off somewhere and lost a lot of that position, having quite the up and down race. There's a good shot. We've not seen him for a while. Oh no, and that's Sargis.
Yep, Sargis is off at
Hog
Pen,
Pen,
like everybody else. Wow, that has been the place. And look, he's got some damage to
at the left front.
The left front. He's made contact with something. I don't know. Maybe his spoiler just dug into the grass when he got off.
Could very well be.
Yeah,
wow.
That shin spoiler may have dug in. And he's going to get passed by Will Perry.
Yeah. Okay, Here we go. Here's the replay. Oh, it's a slower car they're lapping, and he decides to try and be a bit of aggressive one. But that's what it was. He got himself down the inside, entering Hog Pen.
Yep.
Took a bit of a gamble there, and that did not pay off for Steve Sargis.
Yeah, he could have waited, but elected not to. So that's going to affect the aerodynamics of that car just a touch.
And he's got some drag underneath because one of the plastic panels looks like it's even dragging behind him. And not what you need in a little British car. You don't need any kind of drag. They don't have a lot of power to begin with.
So Will Perry now back up to second spot. Sargis right behind him in third.
Will Perry's been on the recovery of his own, so he's
he had that off there. Yeah.
Perry in third, as again timing and scoring looks like they got a transponder issue. Vesa Silegren, we believe, still in second. We just haven't seen him in a while. I think he may be kind of by himself, somewhere between this guy, the new leader, all by himself, Chris Schaafsma, and then the battle we saw between Perry and Sargis. Schaafsma, he may not know what to do with himself. He's had this entire race either chasing down Steve Sargis or side by side with him, but now he's all by his lonesome.
That's the lapped car, the number 80 of Kendall Jones. And there's Silegren in the 60, so he is certainly there. We haven't, as I said, we haven't seen him in a while, but he's about 3.5 seconds behind Schaafsma, but some 25 seconds in front of the battle between Will Perry and Steve Sargis for the bronze medal.
Yeah, Vesa just doing his thing. There's battles in front, there's battles behind. He's just going to keep turning laps. The 2019 H-Prod champ, and now sitting in a podium position. Happy to continue to grind out laps to see where this thing goes. Attrition is always a part of these races. Things happen, as we've seen. And for Vesa, just playing his cards right and seeing where this all shakes out.
Yeah, he won the last time, his only win actually, last time here at VIR in 2019. The only other time the runoffs have been here. And as you and Greg were discussing, they'll be back next year, as we'll have back-to-back years here at VIR, as the club experimenting a little bit with the location of the runoffs. It looks like Sargis has been able to get back around Will Perry, so he's back into the podium spots, but a long way back from Vesa Silegren.
Yeah, it looks like he's probably about 20-some seconds back from Vesa and from Schaafsma. For Sargis, got to just be kicking himself. He could have been a bit of a patient there. He could have probably still kept Schaafsma behind him, even with the slower car there happening in front. It was too early maybe to take that kind of gamble, and unfortunately for him, dropped a toe just off the side and went bounding through. Maybe ought to feel lucky to have that car still out there turning laps, and right now back up into the top 3.
Chris Albin is on a good lap in the number 3 car, that yellow Volkswagen, a 2:21 on his last lap, and Will Perry in front of him was a 2:22.6. So Albin definitely in a position to maybe take over that 4th spot. There he is, and you can see that battle brewing right now as Albin chasing down Will Perry. Remember, Perry has been off already, and Albin has not, so he is definitely coming on strong in the closing stages, just when you need to have that extra pace.
He's definitely getting into his groove, just using the right amount of curbs to kind of shortcut some of these corners, but now he's right on the back of Perry. Perry, I thought, was on that bit of a recovery drive. Maybe his pace is slow a little bit, where Albin's just kind of coming into his own.
Greg Galper in the distance there, just behind this battle. Galper, the 2011 champion of the runoffs. As they click through that very dodgy south bend, that left-hander leading up to the Oak Hill.
Such a tough, crazy corner to come throw into there. It's basically blind. There's a bit of the Armco that sticks out there at the apex behind it. So the only way is kind of trust the car is going to stay under you as the bottom drops out. If you put a toe off just a little bit, there's all kinds of ruts and grooves. There's sharp concrete edge to the curbing out there. All sorts of things you don't want to get near. As the camera shot was on both Alvin and Perry the last time they came around, neither one of them taking chances. They're both about a car width off of that outside curbing. But if it comes down to it and you're fighting for a spot, sometimes you push and take that gamble. Right now, these two guys not taking gambles, but for Alvin putting in pretty good laps still.
Steve Sargis getting away from Will Perry a bit, opened up about a second a lap ago, and it's going to be more than that now, as that's him disappearing out of the shot. Perry in the red number 36, and then we see Chris Albin. We talked about him as a long-term board of directors member, and of course his daughter Andy works for SCCA as well. Or did, yeah.
She's listening to us right now, I'm sure.
Yes,
saying,
hi,
shut
Andy.
up, guys. Stop talking about me. That's when it's fun. Good shot there of Vesa Silegren running in second. Oh, no, that's the
Greg
15 of Gopper.
He has been
That's got to be Hog Pen.
I think it's Hog Pen again.
Oh,
yeah.
Hog Pen.
And he got all the way to the tires.
Catching everybody all weekend long in that wet grass. You carry quite a long ways. Here's a good shot. Yep.
He went
never quite
straight
made it
off.
down. Oh, high speed.
That's a big hit. He went straight off, never even started to turn. I'm not quite sure what happened.
Yeah, he's going to get the car all the way back into pit lane. Good for him. But that was quite an impact.
Ooh-wee. Great galper.
Yeah, it takes him out of what would have been about a top 7 or 8 position at that point. He'd be plummeting quickly. As Greg Amie looks like he's going to take that spot over.
Bill Trainer and Eric Vickerman will
say the Greg Amie.
The Bill Trainer and Eric Vickerman will inherit 6th and 7th places with Galper's retirement.
Sargis is definitely catching up to, I think, Vesa. It's hard to tell with Vesa lap times because, again, his transponder's not working, but just the eyeball test says that Sargis is closing in.
Yeah,
on Vesa.
Clearly they're scoring Vesa.
Oh, big lockup from Sargis under braking, going in Oak Tree. He's able to recover, but that was a huge sliding lockup. That tire can't feel good right now.
Yeah, most likely. You know, I'm sure that the aero balance of the car is thrown off by the damage to that front splitter.
It just doesn't quite have the grip on that front end, and that's where it shows. Is the pavement coming off of South Bend, you come up to Oak Tree Bend, and it just sort of rises. It gets light, and you have to carry a bit of trail brake all the way in. As it got light, it definitely locked up on him. Now he's got a draft, though, of one of the cars being lapped. Number of which car that was. Volkswagen's in the field. 42
would be Angus Chrome.
Yeah.
This is right where Sargis had that miscue earlier, trying to deal with a lapper.
Patient this time.
Exactly right. I think he realizes he's got the pace and his chances of catching.
Yeah. Well, he's only got about 1 lap to go, as they should be seeing the next time. Next 2 laps to go. That's right.
Working lap 14
now. It's not him that triggers the lap timer. It's leader Chris Schaafsma. But you can see right there, he can see Vesa now in front of him.
If Vesa's time that we're seeing here is correct, he was at a 2:23.1, Sargis at 2:21.3.
That's doable.
He's
6 seconds
quicker.
2 laps is definitely doable if Sargis can hit his marks. Any bit of traffic that Vesa runs into could slow him down. So we could still have a battle for seconds. These two right now tentatively holding the 2nd and 3rd podium spots.
And our timing screen is confused. It's showing 20 seconds difference between those two, and I can assure you by visual reckoning, it's a lot less than that.
Yeah, I suspect. Steve Sargis is probably 26 seconds behind leader Chris Schaafsma, but Vesa only about maybe 4 or 5 seconds in front of Steve. And look at that gap continue to close. They come out of the lower snake and they head to the climbing S's. And you can see Vesa cutting those curves, getting a little bit nervous now, seeing the Triumph coming up behind him.
You can see Sargis's car right at the first bend in those climbing S's, how it gets light over that little rise on that first right-hander.
See, watch that right front tire here. See if he gets any kind of lockup under braking coming into Oak Tree.
Of course, once you lock it up, it's got a square spot and it wants to go right back there.
Wait, was that Vesa that just slowed down? Yes, it was.
Vesa got off track. Sargis is now up to 2nd again.
Wow.
What a race this has been.
We didn't quite catch what happened to Vesa, but it looks like maybe he got a little bit deep in the brakes. That does catch a lot of folks as the pavement plateaus, and he may have just caught a little bit of dirt there, giving a chance for Sargis to duck underneath. But now the horsepower of the Honda brings it back, and Sargis looks almost like he's slowed. The power difference is so different.
Yeah, Vesa just drives around him.
I'm wondering if something is wrong with Sargis.
Man, it's hard to tell. Let's see if he's got anything here as they're coming to the white flag. Looks like he's fighting with that car just a little bit.
Yeah, Vesa drives right around him. I know that there's a lot more power in the Honda than there is in the Triumph, but that was substantial.
Vesa just clipping the curb and out to the edge. Here comes Sargis.
Maybe a missed shift or something, perhaps.
Could be.
Old British gearboxes, tough to find that fifth gear or fourth gear as he's going down that back straight.
Lucas Electrics. Take your pick, any kind of things.
When you're driving a 60-year-old car, things happen.
They do indeed. The white flag should be in the air as we are working race lap 15. Chris Schaafsma well out in front with the problems for his closest pursuers. And this is the battle we're going to watch. Steve Sargis. Vesa Silegren right in front of him. And he's closing quickly.
Vesa, knowing that he gave up the spot and had to get it back, knowing that the pace of Sargis is pretty strong, he's using a lot more curb, really throwing a thing around here on this final lap. Wants to hold this position. Would love to hold the 9-time champ behind him for about another 10 corners here.
Keep an eye on this. Looks like about 5 car lengths, maybe 6 car lengths as they hit the climbing S's. Sargis staying off the curbs. Both of them are actually staying off the curbs.
Deja vu. We just saw these same things, about the same gap the last time they came down here to Oak Tree. Silegren was about a second or so ahead.
Let's see if he has a problem here.
See if he can get it woed down a little bit cleaner than he did the last time. Same thing for Sargis from 2 laps ago. Both of them looking like they're going to get a pretty good run. But this is where the Honda power takes over. See if he can give any draft to Sargis to try and close this up for one more final shot at the top of the hill.
Once again, Sargis swiping his visor after going a little bit wide at the exit of
this
the
guy.
turn. Yeah, this guy's all by himself. Having a good battle with Sargis early on until Sargis had that miscalculation with a back marker. And here comes Chris Schaafsma looking for his first national championship. And by golly, I think he's got it in the bag. Is Schaafsma all by himself coming down the front straightaway, the checkered flag in the hand of the starter. Chris Schaafsma takes the championship in H production.
Yeah, he has a history of a couple of second places, including last year at Indy. Able to recover, and a bit of redemption for Schaafsma. And this guy, recovery, talk about recovery.
Yep.
To hang on to what appears to be a podium spot.
Yeah, he'll end up with the bronze medal, but never give up. Both he and Will Perry had great recovery drives. Perry will finish just behind this group in the 4th spot. But congratulations to Vesa Silegren. He'll take these 2nd place honors. Steve Sargis coming home with the bronze.
And Chris Albin back there taking a 5th spot. Great run for him. Not done yet, though. This is the battle of the 79, David Bowles. And take a look, is that Brian Downey there, or is that...
I think
that's Benasek. That's Matt Benasek. The other Benasek. I believe their father and son is... As Matt goes running deep, is coming into Oak Tree.
Yeah, just wasn't able to get the car turned. No, that's... Yeah,
that's the 8 of Matt Benasek.
Yeah. And he's going to get back, but that's going to cost him some time. They had a big lead over Jack Schultz.
Yeah. If I have this right, I believe Matt is the son to Rick, the father, if I have that right. I'm sure I'll be corrected by Andy Allman here shortly.
Jack Schultz did get by in the midget. Edward Weary would be next up the order in the fit. But... So coming to the line, the 79 of David Bowles. This is for 10th position. He
Not
caught
over yet.
Yeah, Jack Schultz catching him quickly in the midget as they come down the hill for the final time. Checkered flag awaits. And again, this is not for a medal, but it's for a spot in the top 10.
It's for another corner of racing is what this is.
Yeah, indeed.
It's not over.
Jack Schultz gets a good run. He's going to tuck right in the back of that Volkswagen Golf. Now he's going to pop out. Does he have enough momentum to get around it? The Volkswagen's going to have a little more top end, and that's going to be the salvation. As David Bowles will take 10th spot.
That is H-Prod in a nutshell. Race all the way to the checker, even for 9th place between a front drive Volkswagen and a little Sprite there on the rear drive, little British car.
Yep.
This is H-Prod, isn't it awesome?
Exactly right. One of my favorite classes, and it does not disappoint. So congratulations to Chris Schaafsma. After a lot of tries and a lot of podium spots, he's finally got that gold medal around his neck. You can see the crowd saluting our winner as he makes his way around. So here's the unofficial results. Schaafsma with the win. They're showing Steve Sargis in second. I don't believe that to be true. Vesa Silegren in the second spot. Sargis in third. Will Perry coming home in the fourth spot. Chris Halbin in fifth. Eric Vickerman finishing in the sixth spot. William Trainer comes home in seventh. Greg Amy in number 89 comes home in eighth spot. Ryan Downey and David Bowles rounding out the top 10. So our top three finishers will be making their way into the pit lane, and our intrepid pit reporter Hayward Wagner will be standing by to give us a first-hand account from each of these drivers as to what their championship run was all about.
It's fabulous racing among these guys. So that battle between Schaafsma and Sargis for the number of laps continually, corner after corner, just great. Neither one wanted to give an inch, even though it was only about the halfway point of the race. They both knew that if they could just keep pushing and keep pushing, that maybe they could achieve gold for Schaafsma. Even going through the grass, through the climbing S's,
Yep.
The car stood good. I wonder if the car has any feeling. What if you noted anything there, any difference there? But what a great, great run for him.
As he's getting the helmet off, getting the winner's cap on, and we have to get the Hoosier Tire necklace on all of our Hoosier Tire drivers. Let's send it down to Hayward Wagner with our winner.
Chris, in just a second, I'm going to ask you what it feels like to be a national champion. But first, I want to know what it feels like to go through the climbing S's in the grass with slightly wet tires.
It feels like a big mistake. Oh, man. You know, I was trying to get by Steve going up the climbing S's. I thought I cleared him, and then for a minute I thought I saw him next to me, so I just wanted to make sure we didn't have contact, and we went green to checker, and I thought I'd throw my race away right there, but luckily, you know, I was able to keep the wheel straight and get right back on.
Well, you did. It was a great recovery, and now I'll ask you, what does it feel like to be an SCCA National Champion?
Oh, man, I'll tell you, it feels like I've climbed a mountain, right? Our first runoffs at Indy in 2017, we finished second. We finished second last year, and we didn't finish any other runoffs. I kept thinking we were close, and we kept not getting it, so it really feels satisfying.
Well, huge congratulations to you. You get to do another lap. Enjoy this one. You take anybody with you?
Yeah, I'm going to bring Chuck Mathis, who builds the best Volkswagen race motors in the world. I also want to take a minute to thank Hoosier Tire. I want to thank Jeff Mathis, Chuck Mathis. I want to thank Andy Whittle, my wife Brandy, my son Lucas, and Nicholas. I want to thank G-Lock Brakes for giving me great brakes today, too.
Well, congratulations on the championship. Enjoy the victory lap.
Oh, yeah, and Mike Humphrey at NGP Racing. Thank you.
Getting all the thank yous in. Vesa, can you come on up?
Thanks, Hayward. Chris Schaafsma obviously happy with that win, and thanks all of his sponsors and family and friends. That's exactly what amateur racing is all about.
And avoiding contact, even if it means going in the grass and,
Yep.
and playing for the next corner.
Hayward's got our second place finisher.
Vesa, everybody seemed to be sliding off at some point. You've got some dirt on the sidewalls. What was this race like for you?
It was a hard race. I went off twice in Oak Tree because it was drizzling over there, and I misjudged it a couple of times. And man, I saw Steve coming back there, and I kept it pedal down. But I'm really happy with second place because I had to rebuild the car last year, and this last winter, I'm so pleased with second place.
Well, congratulations on another runoffs podium for you.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to see if we can get Steve Sargis real quick. Steve, you can stay right there if you want to. Probably not the medal you were most hoping for, but after the off and hog pin, this has to have some satisfaction.
Well, I'm no Michael Jordan 3 times in a row, so what are you going to do? Yeah, it was just an unfortunate time to catch lap traffic, and he waved me by at the worst possible spot, I guess, and I got stuck on the inside and just pushed out over the curb and then hit the puddle on the way out. And once you hit the grass, you're gone. I thought I could just spin around once and keep going, but I couldn't do it.
What was the battle between you and Chris like while it lasted?
It was okay. I think as it started raining in the back part later on, he would have had the advantage with the front-wheel drive car and some of the corners. But I think up until that point, it was pretty equal. I could get him in some spots, and he seemed to follow better than he led, and probably the same with me too.
Well, congratulations on another runoffs podium. Enjoy the day.
Thanks. Yeah, it's good. Car's still in one piece. Thank you.
Steve Sargis, 9-time and defending champion of the class. Happy with that bronze medal, considering the And Chris Schaafsma's got the entire crew loaded in that car, but here are the highlights as Schaafsma and Sargis begin their battle right at the front. Sargis taking the lead early. Then quickly around the outside is the 36 of Will Perry as they line up line astern. Here is Perry's bounce through the grass.
And
But
it seemed everybody went in the one time or another. But this battle between these two is going to be talked about for a very long time.
side by side by side, turn after turn. One would get an advantage, one would get the other. And here's that run through the grass. And he actually made up some ground during that. And then here's the unfortunate incident with Sargis as he's trying to work his way around that slower car, but unfortunately it cost him a trip into the grass, and that's all that Chris Schaafsma needed to take his first national championship. We've got lots more racing to come in the 59th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. We hope you'll be back with us soon. Until then, we'll see you down the road.